And welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, and welcome to the review between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. We do remain at the top of the table. It's finished 1-1 at the Wanda Metropolitano, but obviously following that game there are massive questions that need to be asked. There really are a lot of conclusions that you can draw following not only this result but this performance. That is the bottom line here. It's not about the result, it's the way that we set up once again, the way the game played out. What happens from this moment on? We are going to be discussing the game in its entirety right here. And look, guys, we're going to get straight into it here, looking at the way that we set up from the very first minute. That was the thing. The way that Valverde set the tone of this game was all from his lineup. And that is the very big moment at the start of the game when you set up your team, you put your players out there in a massive game like this, one of the biggest games of our season so far, and you put all your cards on the table and you say, look, I have got the tools here to make this happen. I've got the team and the tactics to get all 3 points. And never ever did I feel like with this lineup we would go out there tonight and perform at a very high level. Never did I ever feel, even before the ball had been kicked, like we were going to go out there and really impose ourselves on Atletico Madrid. As soon as you saw this lineup, you thought, right, Valverde has already gone on the defensive, he's already being cautious, there is no bravery in this team whatsoever, and not only that, there was no attacking threat. Right from the minute go, all you had here was a lot of midfielders, people packing the centre of the pitch. We didn't really allow the fullbacks to get on at all during the game. We didn't create space for them because we were far too narrow and congested in this midfield area, and we had no wide players at all making an impact. And then all you had then was Lionel Messi dropping in, trying to assert some dominance, trying to receive the ball because we didn't get it to him often enough high up the pitch because we were so withdrawn. We had Messi dropping in here, and then you had Luis Suarez, who was completely and utterly isolated, all on his own, going from side to side. And I ask you this, how many times did you see Suarez bring the ball down in the final third and he had a look up and there was no one there? There was nobody there to play it to, and what he did then about 4 or 5 times, 5 or 6 times, was play it against the defender and get the corner. That's all that he could do all game long because he was surrounded by absolutely nothing because of the fact that Valverde didn't choose to include another attacking player. And it's actually worse given the team that we did this against, given the fact that we went to Atletico Madrid and set ourselves up like this. If we'd have actually done that at home against Real Betis, against Quique Setien's free-flowing, attacking football, fantastic team on the counter-attack when they're controlling possession as well, I wouldn't have been behind it, but I would have understood it a lot more. But here, we set up defensively, we sat deep, we were trying to be compact against a team that had no intention really of trying to win this game. Atletico Madrid, right from the get-go, they were deep in the field, they were happy to sit back, they were extremely narrow, they were packing the middle of the park, you had Griezmann dropping in, and it was exactly the same. Costa was completely isolated up here, trying to bring balls into him and bring the others into the game, and all we saw for about 75 minutes of this game, which to be honest, should have been an entertaining game. It's two fantastic footballing teams, but it wasn't. It was an absolutely awful match for 75 minutes until Atletico scored the first goal, simply because it was 4-4-2 against 4-4-2. Both teams cancelled each other out. There was no intent on winning this game. There was no intent on taking a risk, trying to play some attacking football. There was none of that whatsoever, and I was so disappointed with the way that Valverde once again chose to go on the defensive. We've seen it before. We've seen it away at Roma. We've seen it in other games last season. Why does he consistently make the same mistakes? That's what we can't tolerate. If you're a coach at Barcelona, you are going to make mistakes at some point. It's an extremely difficult job of the highest possible level. It is not easy, but to keep continuing on making the same mistakes over and over and over again and not learning anything from that, I can't understand that. I cannot understand his decisions most of the time. And it actually makes it worse given what we saw after Atletico Madrid scored. 77th minute, Atletico Madrid do what they do best. They sat deep for most of the game. They tried to rely on counter-attacks. They tried tried to rely on set pieces, and 13 minutes from time, they got their reward. Diego Costa heading home, an Antoine Griezmann corner kick. We were trying to mark zonally. It was Rafinha in the end who was trying to pick up Diego Costa. He had absolutely no chance, and Ter Stegen the same. It was a goal for Atletico Madrid, and then suddenly, within seconds, Ousmane Dembélé is on the pitch. Valverde then decides to bring on Dembele. He could have done it when Sergio Roberto went off injured at half-time. He could have spent the whole of half-time talking to Dembele, advising him exactly what he should be doing in that second half, but he didn't. He again played the cautious card, brought on Rafinha, who had very little impact right throughout the game, and then as soon as we conceded, suddenly then, the shackles are off. Valverde wants to use his attacking players. But how do you think that makes Dembele feel? Coutinho is injured, Sergio Roberto is injured, Rafinha is brought on ahead of him, and then suddenly, as soon as we go 1-0 down, he's thrown on then like a last resort. And exactly the same thing could be said for Malcolm. That is not how you manage your star signings, your star players. You don't just throw them on as last resorts. It doesn't work like that, and they simply will not respond. Luckily for us, Dembele, the Spanish media want to paint him as this kid who can't behave, who can't get his head down. He could have come on and thought, you know what, Valverde doesn't even count on me. What's the point? But he didn't. He came on and ready to go, he made an impact. Straight away in the 90th minute, he was the man once again who gets us a point. He dragged us out of a situation just like he has earlier on in the season when he scored goals which have won us games in the last minutes or the only goal of the game. He gets us points, and he did it once again. It was brilliant work from Lionel Messi in the build-up. He just gets a toe to it to move it on to Dembele, and I love the finish because a lot of players coming on in that situation, it was about 10 minutes after he came on, he was still getting involved in the game, he was still trying to get acclimatized to the sort of tempo of the game. He could have just rushed that finish, he could have just smashed it, put it hard and low, he could have put it anywhere there first time, but he didn't. He took a touch, he relaxed himself, he picked his spot, and he showed conviction in his finish. It went under Jan Oblak. Lucas Hernandez is back in there trying to clear it. He can't do that. Ousmane Dembele, another vital goal in a very, very big game. And what is it going to take? What is it going to take to put in the player that we have invested so much money in and find a place consistently in this lineup? What is it going to take from Valverde? Because clearly it does not work when we line up with Messi and Suarez all on their own, and then Messi drops deep and suddenly Suarez is isolated. Players on that field, they need help, they need support. We need to have a balanced team, and it's Ernesto Valverde's job to find that balance. That is why he is there. He has the players at his disposal, he has the team and the signings that have been brought in this summer. He has been backed by the board in the areas that he wanted. Now it's his job to pull all that together, and in these kind of games, he is paid to make those big decisions. I think Dembele should have started here. We could have started with a lot of intent. We could have taken the game to Atletico Madrid. We could have really gone for them very, very early on and set the tone, quieten the crowd. We didn't do that. We sat back, and like I say, for 75 minutes, that was a shocking game of football. It really, really was. That first half, can you think of anything from that first half that actually happened of any note? It was incredibly boring to watch. It wasn't like we were controlling the game. It was sideways passing. It was possession for possession's sake, something that we do not want to associate with Barcelona. That is not the way. That is not the way that we want to keep playing. Just because we've had a lot of possession, it doesn't necessarily mean like we were controlling the game in the right areas. And I just think overall, you want to be seeing more from our team, and most importantly, more from your coach. When you're leading yourself into these kind of games, you want to have a bit of inspiration from the man on the sidelines, and I just didn't feel that tonight. And like I said, it's repeated mistakes. The same thing happens game in, game out, when it really, really matters. And once again tonight, it nearly hurt us very, very dearly. Now, I have to stress, guys, I've really got to stress here, my grievances are not with the fact that we went away to Atletico Madrid and only got a point. A draw away at one of the best teams in Europe who set up themselves fantastically defensively. They've got some brilliant players, a brilliant coach who really does defend very, very well. And the fact of the matter is, you can say, well, Atletico Madrid set up to defend, but that's the thing. That is their philosophy. They set themselves up to defend, and they've only conceded 9 league goals this season. We are not a defensive team. We do not have defensive players, and as we've shown over the last few weeks, we clearly can't defend very well. And like I said in the preview, let's do what we can do. We know we can attack. We've got attacking orientated players, so let's use them. Let's really utilise the good players that we have, and when we do that, we will be a much, much better team for it. As of right now, guys, the league table stands as Barcelona still at the top of the table on 25 points. Atletico Madrid for now in second on 24, but if Sevilla beat Valverde tomorrow, they will go top of La Liga, relegating us to second and Atletico Madrid to third. But really, in the league right now, Real Madrid are massively struggling. Atletico Madrid weren't all that convincing at home tonight. It's ours for the taking if we want it, but we have to be more consistent, and from our coach, we need more bravery. We need a more attacking mindset. We really, really do. So leave your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. What did you think of tonight's performance? Obviously, like I say, the result is a decent one. Nothing at all wrong with that. But the way we played, what do you think about that? And what do you think the future holds for Ousmane Dembélé? Will we now see him in the team as a regular feature? Let me know down below. I will see you soon with more analysis on this game. I'm absolutely sure of that. And of course, the Champions League is just around the corner. I'll see you then. But until then, as always, Vesca El Barça. Barça!